looking for?
Hey, Danny, how's it going?
What's happening? Are you able to look at the document?
I am. I'm pulling it up right now.
Broken in Buckeye. You're telling me that this is new. JP made contact with landlord on 11/8 in attempt to validate multiple phone numbers. Please don't do that. Don't talk to them. It's really bad in about a million ways. It makes it very hard for me to do what I'm doing, unless you're calling pretending to want to stripe the parking lot or sell them something other than the space. What was said and what did you find out when you talked to them?
Yeah, I completely understand. I saw your phone call with Vernon earlier, and I broke the cardinal rule, so it won't happen going forward.
Well, that's fine, dude. You know, I mean, you're making it hard for me. This is all in the course. I say it very clearly. Sure, we want to vet numbers. There's not enough time in the day to go through all the things you shouldn't do. You're hired me to do a job, so I'm not going to sit here and scold you. It just doesn't help. There's many, many layers to it. You know, Vernon becomes the sacrificial lamb in all this. What was said?
Yeah,
What did you say? What's done? What did you say to them?
Yeah, so in the attempt, I got the landlord to call me back. He's based out of California, a retired chiropractor, 70-year-old guy. Kind of mentioned that, gave him as best as I could, the Danny D'Angelo spiel, and told him that my partner Danny and I have been scouting the store in Buckeye for a few months and had noticed that it had been run down, and then you know, the landlord had mentioned that he's on his second tenant of that laundromat. He actually owns the laundromat building and the car wash next door. And so his current tenant is a gentleman who runs the business remotely from Las Vegas. He's hired a local Arizona employee to quote unquote manage the laundromat and car wash. The landlord also mentioned, David mentioned that after I told him what we were trying to do and wanted to invest money into retool the store with new equipment and something that Buckeye would be proud of, he had mentioned that he divulged, I didn't even ask him for this information, that his current tenant is actually looking to focus his resources on the car wash next door and trying to get that up and running because it's actually temporarily closed.
Okay,
right
let
now.
me stop you. So you had all this conversation and everything happened and whatever. So didn't you get a lease? Why don't you just tell them, let's lease the space? What happened?
I didn't get down. I didn't get down that road with him. He did say that he'd be willing to talk to his current tenant because he does know that his current tenant is trying to focus on the car wash next door. That he'd be to see if he'd be interested in releasing that lease. He actually liked that you and I were both local to Arizona.
Yeah, there's no way to run it. So that's the nerve we're going to press. I'm calling Dr. Dave, the retired chiropractor. Here we go. Please don't call the landlords. Don't call them. Just don't call them.
Hello?
Dr. Dave.
Yeah, who's this?
Danny D'Angelo, the laundromat guy. You spoke to my partner, JP.
Can you hear me? I'm sort of in my car.
Every word.
Okay. Let me call you back in just a second, okay? I'm going to park.
Sure. Thank
All
you.
right. Be right back.
So this, if nothing else, gives us an opportunity to talk about what you already know. And there's so many layers to this. It's first and foremost, it's not that I'm a control freak. It's the fact that you've hired me. You want me to do my level best, and you believe that I am the best guy to do that and to negotiate. And when you're calling, and look, a lot of people hire me after they've already started negotiating, or they've already made some efforts in getting these laundromats off the ground, and I have to pick up the pieces. You know, I drove around in a van with my dad for years. As much as I hated it, I learned how to work with my hands and do lots and lots of things that I've taken throughout my life. One of those was plumbing. So if you call a plumber and you say, hey, I want you to install a toilet, they're going to say, all right, it's $300. And they say, well, I started to do the work myself. Oh God, that's $3,000. He's calling back. So let's pick up. Here we go.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thanks for calling back, Doc. Hi.
Hey,
So,
we got a good connection?
yeah, I can hear every word.
All right, you're good.
Let me explain. So I've been doing coin laundries in Arizona for almost 20 years. My partner and I, we do exactly this. We scout existing laundromats. We are after infrastructure, you know, that gas, water, and electric that exists. We are going to be realistic by doing everything correctly, because this is all we do. I'm not also running an apothecary shop. I'm not also selling flowers on the street. This is it. And that said, this is an equipment-based business, Doc. You know, we're not looking to try to limp the place along the way it is. We are frankly after gas, water, and electric. It exists here. And if you and I can come to an understanding and agreement, we will sign a very lengthy lease and spend a ton of money on equipment. By the way, you can't run these businesses from out of state. It's impossible, because it is a cash business, and we all know what that means.
Sure.
That's
Well, I don't run them at all. I have a tenant.
I know.
I have a lease.
I know.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
I'm fully aware. And
Okay.
JP, my partner, tells me that you had a nice conversation. Listen, to go back further, I'm not trying to toss your tenant out. I can't do that, frankly. If you have a good lease and you are happy and they are happy, fantastic. But having scouted this location, you know, it's not really viable in that, you know, the equipment is aged, the operating procedures are poor. I just want to change that if and when that time comes. You know, everything from the color they paint the walls to the tile on the floor is just things that we do very, very differently. You know, having that many machines out of order at some point, and I can relay this to something you and I can understand because we don't frequent laundromats. You know, you're not going to run a cab service in a 1987 Toyota Corolla. When the transmission goes bad, get a new car. And you're certainly not going to try to run a business that way. And this equipment needs to go. I'm after infrastructure, Doc. It's here. It exists. It's in the walls. There's no environmental impact fees. And you said you have a tenant. If you're happy with that relationship, fantastic. JP tells me that this operator, your tenant, is looking to focus on other businesses. And if that's the case, we want to talk terms with you.
Okay. Well, sure. Go ahead. I did not broach the subject with my tenant until after I got something more concrete from you.
What would you like as far as concrete?
Well, you make me some kind of an offer.
Okay, let's talk about that. I can't make an offer as far as what the reasonable and commensurate rent should be. We are extremely serious. Yeah. I can email you. You can see photographs of my stores. You can visit our stores. That said, I have far, far better things to do, as do you. Now, I can't make that offer. If I'm crazy or you're crazy, we won't come together. But I need to know. I don't know if you own the building outright. That's your business. I don't know if you have a hefty
Uh,
mortgage. That's your business. At the
I
end of
have
the
a
day,
small mortgage on it,
okay, well, I
but
appreciate that. I'm not asking. At the end of the day, I know what is reasonable for a laundromat is not also reasonable for a national chain, or what might be reasonable for a yogurt shop is not reasonable for a pizza shop. But I don't know anything about those businesses. I know that I don't just put proposals together. You can have an LOI from me tomorrow, something very concrete. But first, this discussion needs to happen. I need to know what you would like to collect over the next 15 years.
uh, you mean as a base rent or as a percentage of my investment? How do you want me to
I'm looking
answer
to
that
lease
question?
the space,
A
Doc.
dollar,
Nothing
dollars
more,
and cents?
nothing less. I just need to know what your rent is.
Uh, for you mean what the current tenant is paying? Is that what you're saying?
No,
Or
sir.
what
What the current
you want to
tenant is
know what
paying
my
has nothing to do with us because I'm going to be investing heavily in brand new equipment. My debt service on that new equipment can be crushing if I don't have an appropriate rate of rent. So what the current tenant is paying, and he's also years into a lease, which means he's towards the top out, which again, it's moot. It has nothing to do with us. So I'll ask again. All I need to know is square footage and what you would like to collect, what the rate is.
Okay, I would think that somewhere in the neighborhood of around $4,500 to $5,000 a month.
Well,
For
all I
that,
heard
for that.
was $3,000. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
45. So look, I don't know what $4,000 a month is. That sounds fantastic. If it's an 8,000 square foot facility, we're all in. What's the square footage?
I don't know. I have to look at my. I have to look at. I have to look. Only seen the property 3 or 4 times. I've owned it for 4 years, and I've only seen it 4 times. I'd have to look at my my purchase agreement and go backwards from there.
So what's your current tenant paying in monthly rent?
Well, he's paying. He's also paying renting the car wash next door. Okay, it's
So
not
we're
just
we're
that.
part
I'm
we're
running in 2
parceling.
businesses.
Okay. So what is reasonable and commensurate for a laundromat, which is what I know. I want to thank you for providing a base there, which is a big spread. And I also applaud you for having this property that's not even in the same state where you reside. We aim to be very hands off for you. We aim to run a very successful store, as does everyone. But we're not partnering with you. We're not looking for you to have to come by and sweep the floors for us. That said, I need to be at about 80 cents a square foot, which is reasonable and commensurate rate for a laundromat that is being retooled every 7 years or so. And
Okay.
this would be a 15-year plan for us because I need lots of runway for it to make sense. We are very
Of course you
serious. We are very serious. The next question would be abatement on a 15-year term. What type of abatement could I expect?
What's abatement? Define that for me.
Free rent.
Say that again.
Free rent.
Free rent over a 15 year for a 15-year term. You mean how many going forward? How many months? Yeah. Okay.
Doc, we need rent abatement up front, not so that we can get the doors open at all.
Yeah,
We
I
need
understand.
rent abatement because the place is already operating. We need abatement so that we can order the equipment, get the equipment in. This is going to be a very different animal, and you're going to have a tenant who has a vested interest in staying, unlike what you have now.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, this is okay. On a piece of paper, a sack. I'm going to write some things down. Okay, 80 cents. You need the square footage, and you want the abatement, and to give you some sort of compensation for the investment that you're gonna make going in, right?
Repeat that, please.
The abatement is some compensation for the investment that you're going to invest going into the
Of course.
project.
Well, no, look, I
Yeah.
don't mean to educate you, my friend. I'm only 50, so there's some seniority here, and it's all on your side. You went to school and you got your doctorate, so I have a lot of respect. But here's the thing about commercial leases. Walmart, who we are not, is not going to go in and give a first and last and month's rent check and just start paying rent immediately. Nor is any national chain. And we like to think that way. We like to act as if you will. And this isn't a
Okay.
dollar store where we're trying to buy things in China for 50 cents and sell for double that. It's not a nail salon where we've got dozens of employees and we're selling a service. It's a laundromat. So we do half of our business on Sunday and we play catch up the rest of the week. I'm not buying buildings right now. I might end up buying the building from you. My partner might sign off on that, but we'll sign a first right of refusal as well. Why don't we put together a letter of intent so that you have that concrete thing? This is all moot. If your tenant wants to stay and you have a good lease with them, great. We're giving them the option to vacate.
Right. Okay. Got it. Okay. I'll take this to the next step. I'll take your 80 cents, your 80-cent offer, look at it, see what that comes out to, and then I'll talk with my tenant. Okay, all that in the next.
Well, that's up to you, Doc, whether or not you talk to your tenant. Firstly, this conversation is none of his business. If he wants to leave, he leaves. His business is worthless.
Well,
I'm not looking to buy. You understand, we're not buying the business at any price. I'm not looking to purchase the business.
Well, he has an investment in this business himself.
Sure.
Because I had a previous tenant that was a real flake who sort of raped those two businesses, and this guy came in and sort of put it back together. But the previous tenant had drilled a well on the back lot that he owns, adjacent to mine, and the water source for the laundromat is that well. So the current tenant had to make some sort of financial remuneration, you know the word, to my previous tenant for the drilling of the well. I don't know. I wasn't a party to that. I don't know how much he paid for that, but he has funds invested in the business.
So let me break. Let's talk brass tacks, okay? I'm not the specter of death. I don't come along. My partner and I toss these operators out the front plate glass window and take over their businesses. If he's making money and he's thrilled paying you rent every month, then we wouldn't be having this conversation. I can't speak to what he may or may not have paid. I can't speak to what he's in it for, or how many marbles or dollars or frog skins that he's out. It's really none of my business. If he does want to vacate, great. If he wants to wait, hold out until he's losing money, if it hasn't already happened, fantastic. I'm in no hurry. I'm in no rush whatsoever. But I can't, these businesses, Doc, you said they raped it. I know what that means. They've taken the money out again and again, month after month, year after year, and they are not reinvesting. It's time for a renewal of the lease, and it's time for someone to reinvest. That's what we do. That's all. And it's your road to hoe. As far as dealing with the current operator and your tenant, that's your road to hoe. I can't help with that. I'm not here to discuss it. I don't give $1 for their business because I see it as pointless. I don't pay for these. And I've scooped up many, many stores doing exactly this. You're my guy. You're the one I want to deal with. And if they are, look, there's also a tipping point. Whatever he's earning in that store versus the work he's putting in, one becomes more than the other, and suddenly they want out every time. If you have enough stores, it makes sense to run even more of them. That should make sense to you.
Yeah, I understand that. Okay, let me think about this, because he would have to want to leave. And I know he has money invested in it. Either I'm going to have to.
Okay, we're going in circles. We get that, and that's fine. I'm not looking for you to make anyone's mind up here. But when my partner first spoke to you, the implication was that they're done, they're at their wits' end. Hey, God forbid they sell this business, Doc. What if they do? What if they get 50,000 or 80,000 or 100,000 for the business? Who's your next tenant? Someone else who is now behind the 8 ball and is convinced that this is a great business that's going to earn them money from day one. Turnkey, absentee. I hear that all the time. No such thing. If you find that business, let me know. I'll buy in.
Yeah. Okay.
Text me your email address when we hang up.
Sure.
Thanks, Doc.
It's lovealld, L-O.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, he doesn't seem as educated in the commercial real estate.
And that's fine.
Space.
So listen, you now understand. I can only imagine that you did not have the same conversation I just did with him.
I did not. I admit.
That there's been a dozen clients today who have just decided they're going to pick up the phone and call these landlords. For the love of God, if you do that before you find me, if you do that before you get a hold of the course, he wasn't listening when I asked him to text me his email address, so now he's calling me. I want to move forward with you and each and every client who's taken the time, the energy, the effort. This isn't faith. This isn't religion. This is a matter of knowing what you're doing when you deal with these folks. He's stuck on one thing, his previous operator and the money he spent. So what? That has nothing to do with us. It has nothing to do with them. People buy laundromats for $500,000 all the time. And then they realize, oh, it's not making money. You shouldn't have bought it. You shouldn't have listened to someone who gave you a bill of goods. Good find, nicely done. None of this makes sense. The landlord lives out of state. The operator lives out of state. The money that the place is actually making isn't being handed to the operator. No way. I'm sorry. No. It's a cash business. We all know what that means.
Right.
I'm gonna call him back and get his email address, and I'll email him.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Sounds good.
Now on to you people. I don't see anybody making any stellar questions happen here. But hey, thanks everybody for being here. You get it. You understand who I am, what I do, hopefully. Because these long form calls, you're being drugged, kicking and screaming to my content because my short form, little silly short YouTube videos are growing. Great, whatever. If you're serious about owning laundromats, look no further. Get the stupid course. Sorry. Silly course. And let's get to work. Danny at freelaundromat.com.